Welcome, Montgomery Bell Academy, to The Window. I'm Zach Riven, a senior here at MBA and host. Well, we've been kind of primarily focusing on sports. We are kind of deviating with 3 special episodes, hitting people who really represent what it means to be a gentleman scholar and athlete. And today we have a very, very special guest, Eddie George, legendary athlete, dedicated board member here at MBA, and former parent. I'm excited to dive in and learn more about his journey with MBA and his vision for the future. Thank you for being here.
Zach, it is my pleasure, my man. How you been? You got a great smile.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You have the face and the demeanor for an awesome podcast. I pray that this is more successful than Club Shay Show.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So you've been a champion for MBA, supporting our mission to make the school accessible for, everyone from the greater Nashville community. So today I just kind of want to go through and so you can share your experiences with MBA, your goals, and kind of thoughts on what MBA and how MBA just kind of stands out from the community. So we'll start with your personal experiences and connections. Could you kind of talk about your experience as an MBA or former MBA parent and any kind of special memories you have from that?
Yes, I have quite a few. Well, I've been in the Nashville community for going on 27 years now. I would drive past MBA quite often. I was like, man, that's a really beautiful school. I was always curious about it because I went to a military academy in Virginia called Forky Military Academy. And I saw the benefits firsthand of going to a private school, one that was really focused on being cadet, body, mind, and spirit. That was our moniker. And we really focused on every aspect of that. And ever since I left Fork Union, I was always looking for different institutions for my sons to go to if and when the time came for them to go to high school and be developed. Because to invest into your child's education is probably the single most important investment you can ever make outside of stocks, bonds, or any financial vehicle. Investing in your children and in children in general is so important. And my oldest son went to DeMatha in Maryland and was very successful. And he went on to play football at Vanderbilt. Went and left and got his master's at USC Film School, and now is currently working in a production company in Los Angeles. So when it came time for my youngest son to make that move, he was going to a Crockett at the time. There were some things from his behaviors, like it was some red flags starting to show up. I'm in the house and I discipline him, but the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I kind of knew what the next step was. So I looked at a few schools and I came to MBA. In fact, I was invited to be the commencement speaker for graduation. I want to say, was it in, well, good Lord, was it 17, 16? I think, I can't remember the year, about 7 years ago, 6 years ago. Yeah, about 8 years ago. I just had a feeling like, man, this would be a good environment for Eric to grow and develop. He was going into the 7th grade or the 6th grade at the time, and he needed some molding and some guidance away from the house. A place where he couldn't hide as a student, where it's very intimate, it was hands-on, it was going to stretch you beyond your comfort zone as a student. We came here, I did my commencement speech, talked to Brad Joya, who was the dean at the time, the headmaster at the time. And we had a really good conversation, and he was like, I'm interested in bringing your son in, so we'll bring him here for the summer, see how he likes it, and we'll go from there. So he goes to the summer camps, and he absolutely hated it. Did not like it. And because he felt like he developed friendships and out in his old school and so forth, and he had visions of playing football at Ravenwood and all of that. But I felt like this was a move that I had to make. And once we got him here, he enrolled that fall, and his first day, he didn't speak to me at all for about a week and a half because he was really sad about his friends. He says, Dad, I don't have any friends. And when I picked him up after his first day of school, he says, saying goodbye to Evan and Todd and all of his friends that he met the first day. So I knew he was going to be okay. But overall, it was just a welcoming environment. Had a really good feel for the people here, the teachers, the faculty members, the security guard. It felt like a family atmosphere, and they were really interested and invested to develop the kids holistically, and that was very important for me.
Well, I can definitely tell you by the time Eric left, everyone liked him. Like everyone, like you couldn't walk across campus and not.
Right? Yeah.
Everyone liked him. You kind of talked about how you would, drive through town, see NBA, and it was always kind of there, but you never were a part of the community. But once you joined it, what really stood out to you and surprised you the most?
Oh man, the community, just the loving community, the support that you get from the parents. You have the Mothers Club who dominates all the clubs here at NBA. The Dads Club, just that community, that support that you have, and just the opportunity to really delve into other things outside of sports. We know about how great of a school is in terms of the football team, basketball, baseball, whatever that is. But just to be a scholar, a gentleman, an athlete, that goes a long way. The debate team is great here.
For sure.
So it has a long tradition of excellence in all areas. And what was important for me and my son was for him to be developed as that, to go on to have success in college and beyond. Another attractive thing about NBA was after you leave here and after you leave from college, that network that you can tap into worldwide is really awesome. The various programs that they have, to go abroad and study, and that stuff that's impactful, and it shapes you in a way that you'll be well prepared to go anywhere in the world and really be successful. So it was a great learning experience for all of us, and I love this school as well as my wife. She always talks about NBA. So I miss the days of NBA. I miss going to his games. Blah 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 blah. We would just love NBA for what it's done for our son.
You kind of talked about athletics, and we'll come back to that later in the podcast, but I want to transition to kind of your role as a board member. What inspired you? How'd that start, and what got you doing that?
Oh, man. Well, I was asked to be on the board. I was very honored and flattered. Some great people, great minds, great business minds from all over the country come together and sacrifice their time and energy to help shape the future for NBA. It was a great environment for me to learn and grow, just what direction is going to go into, and to add, the little bit I can to that, whatever information or experiences or ideas that I can give to help tell the story and make it accessible for everyone, so they can feel like, hey, I can go to NBA and be successful. That it's not just a place, hey, where it's a tough environment, it's strict on school. You take what was it, IPS?
Seventh grade,
slaughtered. In the seventh grade, and but just the success that I've heard, from guys that I golf with, older gentlemen that's gone to NBA, and how they've talked about the school. How it prepared them for life well after they left the school and college and so forth, how it prepared them for life. That's so important.
You already kind of talked about your kind of vision for NBA, but do you specifically have any goals, if you don't mind me asking, that you want to see NBA accomplish while you're on the board?
For NBA, the goals, it's tough to really define them because it's a great school. And we're working diligently for it becoming more diverse. And it is diverse, and I think it's just the story that needs to be heard. That hey, it looks like the world out there. From people with wealth, people that don't have a lot of funds, black, white, Hispanic, it does not matter. You'll see the world when you're walking through these halls here at NBA, and the education that you're going to get, and the experiences that you're going to have, while you're here outside of the classroom. It's so important. The teachers, the staff, all of that, you're going to see that and experience that here at NBA. And that's the number one goal. NBA is not for everyone. And as well as BA or Innsworth or wherever is the right fit. And I think that's the goal, to open the doors up to say, hey, this is a school that anyone can come to, and thrive if they have the work ethic, the mindset to be shaped and developed.
Well, so you were saying that NBA is really for more than just one kind of person. It's for whoever you are. What would you say to people, though, who think that NBA may be beyond their reach, whether that be academically or financially?
I would definitely say come and get some information. Come and visit the school. Come and experience the culture. I mean, the best thing you can do, and what I did when Eric was thinking about coming here, I brought my wife up and we just walked on the campus. And I'm big on vision. I'm big on seeing things and feeling it. And the environment has to feel right. The culture has to feel right. And that's what you have to do. You can't go by word of mouth or look at a pamphlet or trust somebody's word. You have to go and experience for yourself and talk to the students, talk to the parents, talk to, again, the security guard, the people that necessarily don't think matter, but really shape the culture and really develop the relationships with the students. That's who you talk to. And you look at the small things, the little things tell big stories, And I'll just come up, I'm babbling, but on some certain days, I would just walk the halls and just look in the classroom, see if Eric's paying attention. He's right in the front row and being held accountable, and engaged into it. So it's, You've got to come and experience it and get a good feel for it. Come to a game. Come to one of the great high school games. I miss those Friday nights, man. It's awesome. Or a basketball game. And then you'll get a true sense of it and talk to the kids. Talk to some of the kids that have gone on to college about their experience at NBA. And you'll find that this place has shaped them and prepared them for college, where college is a breeze compared to coming here for 4 years or the time 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and your 12th grade year. So that's very important, that people need to come and do that. Don't just take it by word of mouth, but come and experience it. You'll see that it's a completely different story that you may have heard.
Kind of jumping to athletics, but before I do that, specifically to NBA, would you draw comparisons to the way you see NBA and how you coach TSU?
Oh, definitely. There's a standard here. Discipline. Those are the principles. It's definitely discipline, accountability, and excellence, and that's what I've lived on. That's what I live by. That's what I've experienced. Like I said, when I went to Fork Union Military Academy, those were the principles that we lived by. And it's very similar to the principles here at NBA. And it's the very same thing that I'm doing at Tennessee State. Ironically, we're having our best year so far. Currently right now, 7-3, a third or fourth in the conference, 2 games to go. But that's the last 4 or 5 years of investing in culture, and getting the buy-in and focusing on the habits associated with being a champion, not the end result of holding up a championship trophy, but behaving and thinking and being and living and breathing like a champion. And that's not for everybody. It's tough. And you're going to find out real quick what you're made of if you're going to survive in that environment. As you're held accountable at every turn, in the locker room, in the classroom, in the dorm room, on the football field, and in the community. You wear a Tennessee State shirt out in Nashville, you're going to behave in a way that represents Tennessee State in a great way. And if it's the latter, then you'll be dealt with. So that's kind of how I've been raised. That's what I believe in, and that's the I guess the similarities, between NBA and now at Tennessee State that I'm trying to provide.
Kind of, again, transitioning here, but staying on the idea of athletics, a lot of the times people kind of just see a sport as win or loss. What was the standings, what was the record at the end of the season, but NBA does a great job at emphasizing more than just wins and losses and really building character. How would you view, as a former professional athlete, how would you view NBA athletics and its development in NBA students, not just, how fast you are, how many points you can score, but more after they graduate? Because a lot of the times, 90%, 95% of the high school athletes playing here aren't continuing their collegiate career. So what would you say to those guys that, aren't continuing but did play sports, and how that is going to carry on with them?
Yeah, that's how you handle adversity. The coaches here have done a phenomenal job of preparing these kids for life after the game and during the game, and it teaches you life lessons. There have been times when I've seen the football team start off, 1-3, and Coach U just turns it around and says, hey, these are learning lessons. We're still growing, we're developing, and going to win a state championship or play for a state championship. And sometimes you look out in the field, it's like, man, how are these guys competing with teams that may look like they're more talented? Well, it's the little things. It's the discipline. It's the love and respect they have for one another. It's the ownership. It's the leadership. And it's them, building strong relationships with one another. And the trust and all of that stuff factors in. So that's kind of what I see in terms of those guys that have gone on to never play again, is that they've gotten so much more from the experiences of playing here, being coached here, and going through some tough moments and tough times that it's prepared you. Like, for example, Eric was on the team that was undefeated during the regular season, and they had that loss in Chattanooga. I think it was against Baylor. And that was a very heartbreaking moment as a father, as a fan, for those kids. And just walking on the field after the game, going to the locker room, all you kept hearing was, I love you. That's it. Hugs, I love you, love. It was just love. Everything was based off of love. Those were brothers for life, man. And what they've learned, they were battle tested. They learned how to fight through adversity. They learned to rise above the competition. The year prior to them going undefeated, I think they lost in the first round, and that stung that team. So they came back with more vengeance and more of an attitude like, hey, it's us against the world, and we got something to prove, and work their tails off through the summer. And that's what it's about. It's not about winning the championship. It's who you become through the experience. And Marcel's having a phenomenal year at Texas A&M. Eric's been an All-American his freshman year, probably All-Conference this year, growing and developing. And a slew of those guys have gone on to do great things. I know a couple of guys that went to Vanderbilt. They're having their best season ever. And that's not by accident or coincidence. It's about these kids going to these programs and taking the things they learn here and impacting others at these other programs. I have two, J-Mo and Eric on my team. And they don't say a lot, but they work. And I don't worry about them in the classroom. They're on the dean's list. So they are perfect examples of what it means to be a student athlete and a gentleman.
Were there any life lessons that you learned specifically from your time at Ohio State or on the Titans?
Man, oh my gosh. A plethora of life lessons.
What about the most impactful life lesson that you still carry on with you every day?
I would say the most impactful was the moment, there's been, at every level, there's been some type of adversity I had to go through. When I was in high school at Fort Union Military Academy, my senior year, I didn't have a single scholarship offer my senior year. I had a partial offer going to Edinburgh College in Pennsylvania, and I thought to myself, man, I know I can play at the highest level and dominate. I can feel it in my spirit. I just needed an opportunity. Long story short, I wound up going back to Fort Union for a postgraduate year to develop, get bigger, stronger, faster, work on my grades, and went back for 6 months, 3 months roughly, and put together a phenomenal season. I had a 3.5 GPA average, and got attracted all the D1 schools, including Ohio State, and that was a learning lesson that I learned that I had to dig deeper and I had to work harder. I really had to value my education, because that unlocked the key for a lot. That was the key that opened up everything for me in terms of other schools that valued me and wanted me to come and play for them. So that was a lesson. Then when I got to Ohio State, I fumbled twice on the goal line against Illinois in a big game. And you talk about going into the tank, having 100,000 fans one week and screaming your name, Eddie, 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 to booing you the next week, and to never see the field again until my junior year was devastating. And I had a chance to go into the portal and run away and start fresh and go somewhere different. But again, I had to turn and face my fear and respond. And I had, again, really work hard. I worked harder than anybody else in that building. First one in, last one to leave. Spent time in the film room. Anything and everything. I did anything and everything I could do to be the best running back in the country and the best player on the field, and it paid off. So those are the lessons that I tell my team now. It's you have to learn to embrace adversity. Adversity's got to be your friend, and it's painful on the front end, but the lessons that you learn through it allows you to become a champion in the end.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've already kind of touched on this as well, but what makes NBA so special is, you can have a guy starter for the football team
Right.
who's an AP art. You can have a guy who's starting for the basketball team and he's on the student council. And not many people may know this, but you are an actor.
Yes.
Can you kind of talk about how you had this great long career as a football player, but then you kind of got into theater?
Yes. After my playing days, playing football, I was left with what's next. I was getting opportunities to be on television shows and go to Hollywood and audition for different roles. To say the least, I sucked. It was terrible. And I said, well, if it's acting that I'm going to get into, I need to understand the art of acting. And got with a acting coach here in Nashville, Tennessee, a couple of them, Jeff Carr and Anna Maria Franzella, the late Anna Maria Franzella, and worked on all the elements of acting, from singing to movement to improv to cold reads, to it all. I really loved just being able to express myself in that regard. It was a different form of entertainment, for being on the football field to running guys over and impose my will, to now being on stage and learning to communicate and learning to listen and learning to trust the other actor and them trust me in that regard. You're building and creating art in real time. It's telling the truth in imaginary circumstances. And that whole process helped stretch me beyond and in a way that I never thought it ever could. And it led me to do various productions, from A Raisin It to Sun to Top Dog, Underdog to Shakespeare, Julius Caesar, Othello. Performed on Broadway in New York for a period of time. Did the Chicago, the musical. I had never sing a note in my life. That's my wife's deal. But I tell you, that's the level of commitment that I had or have, is that I learned to sing and hit high notes and all of that, and it developed it tapped into the seeds of talent that I didn't realize that I had.
Okay.
You know, and it stretched me in that regard, and it was amazing.
Going back to Raising the Sun, so if I'm not mistaken, our freshman here at NBA just finished reading that. Can you kind of talk about your experience doing that play?
Yeah, well, it's an iconic play. Sidney Poitier played the role of Walter Lee. Very familiar with it. I watched the play. I watched the movie. Went to Broadway. Well, I actually watched the production on Broadway a few years ago, and it was an honor to play the role. You know, and you put on the skin of that human being, and it's again, you know, what happens to a dream deferred. You know, it's deferred. It didn't end. It's just put on hold. And what do you do in between that time between when that dream is realized and the time that you're waiting? That's the development. That's the trust. That's the faith. And he goes on to make some poor decisions, and he's so ambitious, wants to succeed at something. He sees that glass ceiling, the breakthrough to have business deals that other successful people are having. You know, he's thinking like an entrepreneur, and he gets linked up with the wrong people. And I've done that in my lifetime, and gets his inheritance and everything that they banked on, they were going to move and all of that on this opportunity, and he squandered it away. And to play that role was, you know, to delve deep into my own experiences with that, to have something stolen away or taken away, or having people depend on me to make the right thing, and I went out and did something different and lost it all. It's been tough. It's a role where you're growing up before the audience's eyes. You're becoming a man, and you're standing on principles. You're standing and owning your mistakes. You are a mentor to your own son. You're an example to your own son. So it's multi-layered and multifaceted, and I loved that production and the growth for me within from rehearsal to rehearsal, understanding it and really tapping into the spirit of who he was. And my interpretation of it was something that I enjoyed.
It's really interesting. So for now, a couple more personal, more fun questions. Not that the other questions are
more fun. Right.
Yeah, but I got to ask you, hardest NFL player you ever played up against?
The hardest NFL player I ever played against, without question, is Ray Lewis.
Huh.
100%. Ray, good friend of mine. I hated him on the field, but he was such a competitor, and just he was never going to back down. Any day that you competed against Ray, you better make sure that your helmet is strapped on tight and you bring in plenty of Advil, because he was not going to let up on you. He was going to let you know. His intention was to knock you out of the game, to put you out of commission. That was his intention. It wasn't just to make the play. It was to make you feel the pain behind the hit. And he played that way every single time, day in and day out. And that's what made it tough. And he was relentless. And you have to have that same relentless spirit in order to have success against them and him. So he brought out the best in me, for sure.
It got him pretty far.
Oh, yeah, yes, it did.
Let's see, our next one. How would you say your playing career has kind of affected your coaching career? And would you say playing has helped you coach? Do you see the game in a different way?
Definitely. Having that firsthand experience of playing the position, going through various games, and failing, succeeding, losing by 100 points to winning by 100 points. You treat those two imposters the same. And again, you learn to keep a cool head in all situations and always thinking ahead. Like the team that I have now, I've watched them grow over the last 4 years, and they're at a point now where it's total buy-in, and they're taking off with it. You know, I've been concerned going into certain games, like, ooh, are they ready to play? Are they they need a speech or something, but speeches don't win ball games. You know, players do, and it's done on Monday through Friday, and that game Saturday. That's where you win the games, Monday through Friday, and that's what I've done as a player and now as a coach is really talk about the habits, the intentionality, the focus, the being present, the art of listening, the art of being coachable, the art of being a good teammate. You know, we talk about having faith at Tennessee State, and that's an acronym. You know, your focus, your attitude, the positive attitude that you have to have every day, your intention to get better. Specifically, what are those things? The trusting the process, trusting the work that you put in, trusting your teammates, and also helping others and elevating them and challenging them and holding them accountable and inspiring your teammates to be better. And that's kind of been the culture. So that's those things that I've experienced with the best teams I've been on in high school to Ohio State, and certainly with the Titans. That's been the common theme, and I'm just bringing that to life as a head coach.
And on the topic of coaching, you kind of mentioned how you got to get a team together, whether that's after players graduate, you know, you have new transfers coming in. How do you get your team to buy into a common idea? And how do you connect that to, you know, NBA, new 7th grade class every year? And you've talked about how you want to make it more accessible to, you know, every type of person in Nashville and the greater community. And you have people from several different feeder schools, traditional feeder schools, untraditional feeder schools. How do you get a grade of, say, 130 boys to kind of come together to join one? And would you say that's the same for your team?
Okay, you're saying in terms of Tennessee State or NBA?
Both.
Well, it's the culture. I think NBA has established a culture forever since they opened the doors up here, and it's a culture that's not stagnant. It evolves, it changes, it grows, and that's what we're seeing. It's being shaped differently. The principles are still the same. The focus is still the same. You know, to build gentleman, scholar, athlete, but to say, okay, this is for everyone. You know, the doors are open to everyone, and don't feel intimidated about the financial side of it, because there are opportunities here that can make it affordable. You just have to bring your heart and your work ethic and be open to the idea of being shaped in this environment. And if it's for you, it's for you. It's available for you. So don't feel intimidated by it. One of the things that I've done at Tennessee State was something I learned actually from one of my acting classes, and that was to write out an obituary, which I call a legacy plan. What is your legacy going to be? Your legacy is something that lives long after you are gone, and it's the impact that you have on others. And I have them write it out. You can write. I give them a blank sheet of paper, like a canvas, and you can paint and put anything on this piece of paper that you want. I want to be a billionaire. I want to have, feed the poor. I want to, whatever that is. I want to marry Beyonce and have 1,000 kids and grand.
Right.
And you'll be surprised at how small those goals are, and some of them are reachable. And I'm saying, no, you got to stretch beyond that. You got to put a dream down that's so ridiculous and so out there that it requires God to get you there. That's what we're shooting for. Let's think big. Let's think, hey, I want to be the president of the United States. I want to, feed 1 billion poor children, or I want to make $1 billion and give it away. Whatever that big dream is. I want to win a HEGOT, win a Heisman, an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar, Tony. Something that's going to stretch you beyond what you can physically do, that's going to incorporate your spirit and have you become tenacious and all of that, and fight through adversity and bring on the tough stuff. So that's what I have them do, and we get up and we talk about it. And what's coming through those little meetings that we've had, you get 5 or 6 guys that get up there and they'll speak, and they'll hear themselves talk, and they'll realize that something that may have suppressed them for a long time, an experience that shaped their lives, or something along those lines that have impacted them in a big way, it comes out in those moments. And you start to see a real human being. You have empathy and compassion and love for that individual. And that's how I've been able to get these kids to buy into each other, to really know one another. And, I've always said that you have, in order to win before you win a championship, you have to develop a relationship, have ownership and leadership, in that order. And that allows us to really grow and become a team when they understand and respect one another in that regard.
Okay. And we have a final couple questions here. Mm-hmm. Quick question. Favorite character you've played?
Favorite character I've played is, I would say, Booth from Top Dog Underdog, Susie Laurie Parks.
Okay. And then totally switching gears here. Again, final couple questions. For people maybe touring NBA, prospective families, people maybe already here at NBA, what advice would you give them about how to make the most of their time while here?
Wow, making the most of your time is to get involved in as many of the various programs that they provide. They're always doing something awesome, whether it's a speaker at a dad's dinner, the mom's club. Just get involved in some capacity. Some of the best nights that I've had was serving burgers to the students. Why not? I can't even catch the game. But just getting a chance to talk to the dads and the different parents and helping them get through that moment. Because I know my son was struggling in 7th grade, and they talked me off the fence, say, you make the right decision, he's going to be just fine. It's just a rite of passage that he's going through, and it's going to help him and serve him in a great way. It's great. And any prospective parents coming in, man, reach out. Archive this right here and understand that, hey, it is an option. It is, and it's nothing to be afraid of or be intimidated by, or what you may have heard. Come see for yourself. That NBA is opening its doors. It's expanding their mind in terms of allowing other people to experience this great opportunity to be shaped by these great people at NBA. That's what I would say is come and experience it.
And then I always end my podcast with this one question. I've said this before, but I really like this question because I always get a different answer. And I think that says a lot. Well, I'll just go ahead and ask you, how would you define greatness? And you can take that however you want. It's a vague question. Again, I've gotten 10 different answers.
How would I define greatness? I would have said, 10 years ago, it's probably defined by the number of accolades that you have. But now, being a head coach and being in the grind of this, in the middle of it, it's about the people that you impact. If I ask you a question right now, tell me the last 5 Super Bowl MVPs. Can you name them? Exactly. But if I asked you, what teacher impacted your life the most, who could you tell? Who was it?
Well, that's a good question. It's been a lot.
Did you tell me one?
One? I'd say both Mr. Bassett and Miss Bassett.
Why?
I don't know. I was new here in 8th grade, so I didn't really know a lot of people. So Miss Bassett really helped me get kind of acclimated to the school, and Mr. Bassett has been a huge help with my podcast stuff and the bell ringer. They've just helped me a bunch.
There you have it. So you couldn't tell me you had a bunch that you can pick and choose from in terms of people that impacted your life, versus the last 5 Super Bowl MVPs. So I'm not talking about headlines. I'm talking about people with impact. So that's how I would define greatness in terms of how many people have I impacted.
Do you know the last 5 MVPs?
I couldn't tell you. I think Patrick Mahomes,
Cooper Kupp. Was he in the Rams?
Cooper Kupp, yes. So you know better than me.
So, I mean, I might be able to pull together a list of 5. Maybe not on the spot, but is there anything else you'd like to share with maybe future MBA parents, future MBA students, current families?
I would just say, again, the greatest investment that I've ever made was investing into my son's future, both of them. And coming to NBA, as a parent now, as a board member, I'm honored. I learn a lot, but to have some small impact or influence in terms of the future of the school is awesome, because we are investing in your future, and when you come through here as a student, you're going to be so far ahead of the game in life and in college that is well worth the investment. I'm so pleased what my son is doing right now. I can go to bed and be at peace with the man that he's becoming and how NBA has shaped his life.
Well, I'd say just for myself, NBA has done a great job at preparing me for the real world in tons of different ways. That concludes us for today. And make sure to check out the upcoming episodes. There's going to be 2 more special episodes, and we'll kind of be continuing with the sports as well. This might be episode 7, so make sure you go on YouTube and check out the other ones. And thanks again to Coach George for doing this today. We're extremely grateful, and hope you had a good time on the podcast.
I had a great time, Zach. It was awesome, man.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me. I would love to do it again. Roll Red.